Okay.
We are live, yes. We are live from a very rainy Amsterdam in the Netherlands. It's raining cats and dogs. And good morning from.
Loveland, Colorado, where it's also raining cats and dogs.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so here we go. So Datta Groover is back, thanks God. We are in for a big treat here. Um, Rendezvous with the present moment, episode 60. We made it to 60. And for those of you who don't know yet, Datta Groover. Datta is an very special man, a very present man, a very funny man, and a very serious in business. Serious meaning serious business. But he doesn't take himself too seriously and doesn't take life, he's a light-hearted person. Um, Data became serious about writing as a teenager. It took him sometimes a few decades before he published his first book, Different. This won several literary awards, including the American Fiction Award for General Fiction last year in 2019. He has written articles for major newspapers like San Francisco Chronicle, has edited for Torchlight Publishing, has taught others the art and science of writing and speaking in ways that enable them to get their message out in the world in an authentic way. And he loves writing contemporary fiction with a spiritual twist, with the goal of inspiring others. And when he's not writing, he enjoys coaching people on how to authentically express themselves through writing and speaking. In addition to his lifetime love for writing, he hosts transformational events around the world. That was before Corona. Let's see how you update your own business right now with his wife, Rachel Jane Groover. He loves dancing. He loves photography. He's an amazing photographer. I saw amazing pieces that he created. He loves hiking. He loves meditation. He loves exploring, playing music. He's a bass guitarist. And all of these energize his writing. And he firmly believes that any one thing we do in life is always influenced by every other thing we
Mhm.
do and by the people we hang out with. And do I remember correctly in data that you won about 7 prizes for your last book?
Yes, and it's now 10.
It's now 10
It's
in
now
two
10.
months.
I
Oh
know.
my God, here
Yeah.
you go. Here
Yeah,
you
that's
go.
for Different, that's the name of my
Wow.
first book. So if you want to go on Amazon and check it out, Different Datta Groover, it's there.
Different Data Groover. It's an amazing book. We'll get into it in a second. Data, we have our tradition here because we're going to create a sacred experience together.
I love that.
We transition into experience by taking a moment to center ourselves in order to prepare ourselves for this. So it's about a minute and I'm going to guide it. So let's close our eyes and connect with that part in ourselves that is still, that is silent, and that knows. As our breath takes its own course, and I'm going to propose a gatha, which is a Sanskrit poem. Gatha, it's a Sanskrit poem, but this gatha, it's my small creation to prepare ourselves for this. So, breathing in, telling to your head. So, let's breathe out first. Breathing in, I center myself. Breathing out, I smile. Breathing in, I connect with my strength. Breathing out, I express myself fully. Open your eyes, and we can open your eyes, and let's rock and roll.
I love
And
that. Just so you know, I just love that.
thank you. And by the way, congratulations. You just had your wedding anniversary with Rachel Jane Groover.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank
So
you.
beautiful, beautiful. And I saw the pictures, the photos, really, really beautiful.
Over
What
the
a love story, guys. What a love story.
there was one in there that was actually when we were playing in a band together. That was 15 years
I
ago.
saw it. I saw it. So wonderful.
Before we were in relationship.
It's amazing how your trajectory evolved. So from playing in a band together, and you are in the same speaking group, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we met at Toastmasters, which is a club for speakers, and we were both on the track to become professional speakers, and that's how we connected. And we were friends for 3 years before we ever went out together, before we had one single date. We
Yeah.
just thought like, yep, there's no way. Yeah, he's not the right guy for me. She's not right for me. But you know, we can be friends. She's awesome. And then we discovered differently that we were
And
right for each other.
by the way, we're talking about Rachel Jane Groover, who is my dear teacher and friend and mentor, and the creator of the art of feminine presence. It's worldwide. It's a woman who opens the doors to many women to go deeper and to rediscover who they are as women. And her teachings are beautiful, and also path to enlightenment through the feminine energy. So it's beautiful. She wrote also two amazing books, The Art of Strong and Feminine, and the second one, it's what was this, the breadcrumbs for
Divine
success.
breadcrumbs.
Divine
Yeah, and Powerful
breadcrumbs.
and Feminine was her first book.
The first one, yes, beautiful. And then you fell in love, and then you got married, and then you created this multi-million dollar business, worldwide, very successful. And still you have also your different business as well. You have a business together, and you teach separately about impacting through speaking and writing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, and you live in the beautiful Colorado, and this is the second tradition. Tell us one beautiful thing about the place you live.
One beautiful, like right now, all I hear is birds. I don't hear any traffic, nothing. And it's just because it's behind these two ridges. You go over one ridge and the other ridge, and it just makes a great sound barrier. The sound can't get to us. So it's so incredibly beautiful. And we express gratitude every day for being able to be in this place because we're close to town. We're close to the Denver airport, an hour away. And we love it. We love it.
Beautiful, beautiful. So 10 awards, literally awards for your last book, for your book, different.
Yeah, and I was surprised at the first one. You know, when I got the American Fiction Awards, I was shocked. I did not expect that. And, you know, 9 more hours. I'm still surprised. What can I
You're
say?
still surprised. So how is by the 10th one?
Just still surprising, you know, and not expecting it. And I thought they were all done. Like what, you know, so the first 2 awards we got, they were mid-year awards. They went mid 2018 to mid 2019. And then they announced the award in August of last year. And I'm like, wow, I got 2 awards. I'm shocked. Well, actually, first one I got, and then a couple weeks later, I got the second one. And you know, but what I didn't realize is because then you know most of the awards are by the calendar year. So then 8 more came, and they're usually released. Well, then normally we would be released in April, and they were all released in May because of the whole coronavirus, and you know the events are all different. But I did not expect it.
So
Yeah.
10 literally awards. What does this do to you? Because it took you some time to publish your first book, and it's widely successful.
Yes. So what it does to me, it's a huge encouragement because what I want to do, and this is you know part of our topic, of course, but what I want to do is I want to make a huge impact with my writing. I want to inspire millions of people with my writing. And I know, some people can say, well, some people roll their eyes when they hear me say that, but that's what I want to do. And that's
Well,
what
you're on the way there, right? With the publicity that you get also from all these American awards that you.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And why do you want to reach millions of people, Datta, with your
Well,
writing?
that's what I feel that my purpose in life is to really to inspire others. That's what I want to do. And I found that through my different work, like for example, I'm an engineer, right? And I used to do amazing lighting projects, and I've worked on multi-million-dollar engineering projects, and I would look at like what do I really like about this? Well, the creative aspect of it is my favorite part of it. And then when I got deeper, it was like, well, if I inspire people, that's my highest thing. If I can somehow encourage people to be their highest and best self, that is the best thing for me. And it doesn't have to be for everybody, but for me, that's what I really want to do. And then, first it was, and I still speak, and I love teaching people how to speak and how to make a huge impact themselves. But I finally came to the conclusion that I can really inspire people to the greatest degree and to the greatest number by writing. And I have found that I just love it. And I've had people write to me, email me, sometimes call or text me and say, I read your book and it was life-changing, or I read your book and it was like taking a workshop in a really good way. And
You mean about the different, the book different.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Which is the only one I've got out so far. My second book, right now I'm pitching to agents, because I want to go through traditional publishing just for the numbers, rather than publishing it myself, and we'll see how that goes.
So how do you find your groove in writing?
That's a great question. So, because I believe it's an intersection of what is really, really on for you, like what's really important for you, and what other people will also appreciate and like. Same as with music, same as with any kind of art. And I believe it needs to go mostly with the artist, right? Which is the writer or the musician or whatever it is. Because if you're trying, because most people try too hard, like they want to write the next Harry Potter book, or they want to write the next James Patterson book, or the next Stephen King. It's like, no, write the next you book, right? So that's the most important thing, with consideration. So I send out my books when I write. I send out an alpha copy, like when it's kind of early, the book's just there, it's still rough, and I send it out to people, get their feedback. And I do a beta set, like I did 12 beta readers for the book I'm currently working on, and I just get people's feedback. And I don't necessarily change things. If people say, I didn't like this, I see what the group of people says, and I see why. And then mostly I want to love what I write. I want to look back and read anything I've written and say, oh, wow, I really like that. That's what I want.
Okay, so how do you choose your topics? So I'm asking this because many people have this idea in their head. I want to write a book. I want to self-express myself through writing, and I don't know where to start. And
so that's a really fascinating question. So when what we do, so Rachel, Dan, and I, one of the things we do is we put on writing retreats. And, for 3.5 days, we have people sit down and just write and let the flow come. And they, don't stop. Every 15 minutes, you check your word counts and see how you're progressing in terms of the words you're putting down on paper. And it can be, handwriting by, on computer, whatever is effective for people. But what happens is during that process, then things come through. So the first time I ever did that, I was going to write nonfiction. I was going to write a book about speaking and writing and expression and, showing your soul to the world and things like that. And then it was fiction that came out. It was fiction that really wanted to come out for me. And since then, I really get that people will really allow themselves to open up to fiction, and you can put a lot of teaching in there that doesn't, hopefully,
Yes.
ideally not feel like teaching, but one of my goals is somebody reads one of my books, they feel like, wow, I really got something from that.
Different, it's about the lessons you teach. There's a lot of embedded in personal development in couples. So really in this, and it takes a lot of art, to weave those together.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it starts, I think, with the intent.
Yeah.
I think it starts with the intent. Like I want to give through my writing. I want people to, I want to write the kind of books that will keep you up till 5 o'clock in the morning so that you're angry with me. And I've literally had people angry with me. I was not
They
good.
couldn't put it down,
They
huh?
couldn't put it down. And then when they finally finish it, they're like, oh, I got so much from this book.
Anaya from India says, best job in the world is to inspire others to excel in their life, inspire people were more open to new experiences and reporting more absorption in their tasks.
I could not agree more. I could not agree more. That's so,
Yeah.
yeah. And and it's a personal realization. And this is really important because, I'm not saying like, yeah, I believe it's how we're wired. I believe that the highest fulfillment is when you can make a positive impact in people's lives. But that's just my belief. It may not be true, but it's what I firmly believe. And there's many reasons why someone can write or speak, right? They might want to write just for personal development of their own. They might want to write for their friends and family, which is awesome.
Yeah.
They might want to write just as a feeling of like they're getting something accomplished or an exercise or anything, and they're all good. But what I believe is that we're all wired to make an impact, and
Yeah.
that's the highest level of fulfillment. And again, that's just my belief. It may not be true, but it might be.
So why, this is a question I love that, Vicky St. George, who is a really special woman, said this. Why now? So why was the time for different last year or when you wrote it?
Yeah. It's the book that came through. And,
And can you explain, not for those that are less spiritual, what do you mean by came through?
well, so came through. It's like I opened myself up, like in this writing retreat, I opened myself up to like, okay, what does my soul want to say? That sounds woo-woo. I don't care because that's
We
what.
are engineers, so I can take woo as well. Yeah, but
And
it's
the thing is, when the book came through, and it was like what I was feeling inspired, like what inspires me, and this story came through, and this has happened with the other stories I've written too. It's like, okay, the story different is about a young boy. The main character is a young boy, a 5-year-old boy who doesn't speak, and no one knows why he doesn't speak. He also sees things that are going to happen. He knows what's going on, and he has other spiritual things that come out through the story, and and so I can't give his voice, I can't give him speaking, I can't give his thoughts, so everything's through the vision of his family. So that's a very hard book to write. And I asked myself many times when my left brain would get in the way, I'd ask myself, and my images flip, so my left is my right. I'd ask myself, why am I writing something so hard? But it's like, it's the book that really, the book wanted to come through. It's the story that wanted to come through. And it was a challenge for me to stick with it. But, I am so, so happy that I did.
what moved you, what got you through the obstacles of, oh, it's too difficult? What made you finish it?
Oh, that's a great question. So the belief that this is really important. My little dog here, he's hearing Rachel Jan downstairs. I'm going to let him out. I'll be 1 second.
Yeah. Take your time.
Okay,
Take your time. I mean, we can admire your guitar, right?
What's that? Yes, you can admire my guitar.
Yes, maybe next time you can play some because you're a great guitarist. So,
Thank you. So what? One of the things I do tell people quite often is that I believe for any kind of artist, we go on a curve. So sometimes we think our work is amazing, and then it's okay, it's pretty good, it's okay, it's not too bad, it's kind of bad, it's pretty bad, it's awful, it's terrible, and then it goes back on the curve again. And that's what I teach, and that's what I practice. So when I'm thinking like, oh, this is too difficult, whatever, there's going to come a time when it's going to be better. And a lot of people will jump off like at the top of that curve or the bottom of the curve. And by the top of the curve, meaning there's more work that needs to be done for it to be their best work, but they're like, yep, I'm done. And they're not done in terms of getting their best work out. And then at the bottom, it's like, oh, this is awful. And then they quit. So a lot of people quit. And that's the thing. I quit when something isn't right for me. You know, like
and how do you know that?
Well,
Because that's an art also, when to know when to quit.
exactly. When I see that it doesn't match up with where I want to go with my life. So as the example in engineering, I mean, I've done wonderful things. I've done, hydroelectric systems and solar systems and all kinds of, alternative energy stuff and lighting and, some pretty amazing things that were helping people, that help people a lot. They're still in place all around the world. And then I realized, this is not my highest thing. So I just like stopped. So with writing, it's really easy to get to a point where like, yeah, this isn't going to work. So it's important to have that faith in yourself to go all the way through and get to where you ultimately want to go with it.
Do you go crazy when you write? Should I ask Rachel Jane, or you're kind of that kind of artist that or what's your process?
We might have different answers, Rachel Jane and I, but no, my process is I have a writing time every morning. So, I wake up, I do my prayers, I do my meditation, and then I write. And I do that until at least 9:30 in the morning. So if I wake up and, I get the sleep I need, and never use an alarm clock, but I'll wake up sometimes, 4:30 a.m., 5 a.m. So it gives me like, and then if I do my prayers and meditation, half an hour, I'll have at least 4 hours every morning. And that is
for writing.
Yes, for writing. Yeah. And, and that, I'm not saying everyone has to do that, but it is a way that is actually very effective. It really works.
What qualities of you think that come most in your writing? So if I read a book, one of your book, the different, what would I see from Datta Groover there? Of course, it's your book, but you see, where do you see yourself most?
Well, and that's a really good question, because I've had people that know me really well, and they have said, oh, I read your book, I really see you in those characters, it's a little bit scary because it takes some vulnerability, and it's not like I'm trying to write myself into the characters, but I am, I do want the character to be really, really real, like a real person. And I have a sheet that I have. It's a Microsoft Word document where I have all these different qualities. What's their favorite thing? What's their least on like a
of your characters in the
book. My
characters,
exactly. So I want to make them really real. And and that's actually the highest compliment when people say, yeah, I see you in the book, because I believe that the very best writing that anyone can do is when the author puts herself or himself on the page, or you create a movie and you put yourself in that movie, right? Yeah. Or even art, to say art, for example, like one of the people, one of our team is a fantastic artist. She's just amazing, Christine Banman, and she's just does this amazing art of these different things, like this thing of this. She's got this art of this raccoon that's in her house, and it's like you see her in that art. You know what I mean? When an artist really puts themselves into that work of art, it just becomes special.
Yeah.
Because I believe, and this is my belief, people want to see your soul. They
Yeah.
want to see who you really are at your deepest level. And I think if you allow yourself to be vulnerable as a writer or any kind of artist, then people will see that, and that's how you have the maximum amount of impact.
What got you? Okay, what was your biggest fear when writing this book?
Okay, so specifically when writing this book, my biggest fear was it was going to be awful, that no one was going to like it, that no one was going to relate to it, and no one was going to buy it, whatever, all those things. It's like, and it kept coming up. And like, again, the curve, the sine wave
Yeah.
curve that goes up and down, I believe that never stops. It
So
never.
what was your dialogue with because this I'm asking this because I know there is one person there that will be very much helped by your answer. So what was your dance with the fear during the process of creation?
Because basically, and this is just what I found with everything, that anything you do that's big, and when I say big, I mean big on a soul level and big on a world level, there's going to be fear. That's what I believe. And, if you're doing something and there's no fear, if there's no hesitation, if there's it's like, oh yeah, this is nothing, then it's probably not that big. Not for you, not at that time. That's what
Yeah.
I believe. So I feel that, having fear is natural
Yeah.
for anything that's truly big. And again, big on the, in the world context, and big on your soul context.
Yeah. Data, because I know you can take it. And I know there is one person there that will benefit. How does your book different makes the world a better place?
Because it inspires some people to be better people. That's
Yeah.
the best answer I can give you. It inspires some people to be better people. And again, and that's why, when I do get that feedback, it's like, okay, that feels really good. I feel like I am on the right track.
I ask this because I want people to see how you own it. Because you have a creation, and then, especially as a writer, and so you come up with your soul, and there will be people that would love it and people that will not love it maybe, and so but you own your creation, and I think that's so important for an artist.
Thank you.
And because the topic today it's about your impact
Yeah.
through into this world through writing and speaking. You've built together with Rachel Jane Groover a business from zero, from your living room to a multi-million dollar business, worldwide business, by simply doing what you love and working a lot in a smart way. But you
Mhm.
build up a business basically in speaking and writing. So, what advice would you give to somebody that has this? Because you're ahead of them, um, somebody that wants to start, has this aspiration,
Yeah.
and wants to start a business like this.
Awesome.
What would you advise?
Question. So I would say, to have the proper vision. So I mentioned I want to inspire millions of people. I honestly don't expect that to be everyone's goal, right? And sometimes people can hear something like that. It's like, oh yeah, I'll never do that, right? So then they don't do anything. If and the question to ask yourself: if I wrote this book and it significantly changed someone's life, one person's life, would it be worth it? For me, I would say yes. But that's a question you have to ask yourself. And then, not that you're like, oh, I'm going to write a book that's going to change one person's life, but I'm going to write a book that can change someone's life. And again, it's an if that's the kind of book you want to write, if you want to make that impact, and that's a personal decision. But it's
Yeah,
really important to keep that in mind. And then as you write, know that as you put yourself into that book, that's what's going to make a difference. And part of that is you have to be vulnerable. If you really want to make an impact, you have to be vulnerable. And that's with speaking, and that's with writing, and that's with any kind of art, I believe. You have to be a little edgy. And by edgy means you have to be willing to ruffle someone's feathers.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've had my books ruffle people's feathers, and it's sometimes uncomfortable to hear when they say, your book ruffled my feathers. I didn't use those words. Sometimes they use harsher words, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because I believe that that's sometimes what it takes. And I also believe that, as you know, like you asked, so somebody's beginning, whether they're beginning or not, if you are willing to ruffle some feathers, that is how you're going to create the change that needs to happen. And I believe it's the only way. If you're
Yeah.
just going to make people, oh, I'm going to make people comfortable, I'm going to entertain them, it won't be the same.
You build up again, it's Corona is changing a lot, but I'm sure that you're gonna come with awesome things online. I know for sure.
We're
But
already in there, yeah.
you're ready. So you are educating and entertaining. There's a lot of music in your teachings and
Yeah.
in your live events. Tell me how you started with Rachel Jane. So you guys, because you started a very successful business out of nothing.
Mm.
Just how did it work? Because you are a couple as well. So how did it work for you to
Well,
build and this, create this impact in the world with your speaking and writing business?
right. So, and the funny thing is, we started before we were actually a couple. We started before being a couple. And, you know, when we would put on concerts, we would have concerts with content, right? With meaningful content. And we'd say things between the songs that would really uplift people. And, you know, we had a pretty good draw. We were in Southern Oregon at the time, and people would come to hear us, and they would be very receptive. And so, you know, then when you're doing that kind of work with somebody, you really get to see their best side. You get to see all sides. And we became a couple. We became a couple back in early 2006, and we kept it going, and we just developed it from there. And we had a lot of situations. We had a lot of setbacks. We went through a lot of difficulty during those early years. We went through bankruptcy. Our house was foreclosed and taken from us, and it was extremely difficult. But we kept at it, you know. And I
What
have
kept you
people.
going? What kept you going in those difficult moments, Data?
What kept us going was really keeping a focus on what we really wanted to do with our lives. You know, not like, well, I have to do this. You know, so we just don't have that in our vocabulary or our thought pattern. Like, I have to do this because of whatever. For example, I remember this was in 2008. We had moved to Oregon right after we had lost our house. We moved from Oregon to Colorado after we had lost our house in Oregon. And we were in a rental place, and I got a call from somebody to do some engineering work. And we had talked about we want to do work that's going to benefit the world, that's going to really enliven people and inspire them. And that's what we're going to fix on from now on. And I get this call saying, hey, can you come do this engineering work? You know, and I think it was in Washington State. And, you know, and I said, no. And the guy said, no, you don't understand. Cost is no object. I want you to do this work. This is a 3-month job, yada, yada. And I just said, no, I'm not going to do it. And we had barely any money. Like, we were just scraping by week to week, right? But we were fixed and convinced that this is what we're going to do. And there was many times I had many of those calls to go back to do electrical engineering, whatever. And I'm just like, yeah, no, it's not what I want to do. I know what I want to do with my life, and I know I'm going to go in that direction. And so with our business, you know, it reflects that. It, like, you know, here's what we're going to do. And we started with 6 people in our living room for our speaking workshops. We started very small. And if you do what you love, there's a saying, you know, you do what you love and you won't work a day in your life.
I have a question. You had these big dreams to create big business, worldwide business to impact millions of people. And how did you get your mindset to the 4 people? Because that some people would say, I dream big. I'm not going to start with 4 people.
Right.
You started from scratch. So how did you adapt it in your actions, your vision when you
Right.
started?
It's basically just looking how to take the steps, you know. And it is an example, just like you knew us when we were doing programs in Netherlands, right? You know,
Yes.
so we at a certain point our business was growing, our business was expanding, and we actually realized we can't do everything we're doing and give the quality that we want to give. So we literally scaled down and we stopped doing those workshops in Europe for the time being, and that was what, 5 years ago at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was a big shift. And you know, and it would have been very profitable for us. We would have made money, but that's not what we want to do. We want to make the impact. So same thing when we're starting with just a few people, we look at like, okay, now how can we take this to the next level? What's working in the marketing, you know, who's coming and why and so on. And you know, just keeping our eye on the ball and realizing this is where we want to go. And it's not about, you know, and that's a great question, because I feel a lot of people try to like, oh, we're going to start out so big, we're going to do this amazing thing, and if it's not that, oh, it's a failure, you know.
Yeah.
And I believe it's important to know, yeah, if you changed one person's life, is that a success? And I believe so.
Yeah. And when was the shift that you say, whoa, we are getting somewhere here. We are getting big. When was that, and how did it happen in your head? Like, whoa.
You know, that's a great question. I don't know if it's happened. I don't, I don't know if it's happened, because it's just, you know, it's been such a gradual process, and we just look at like, how can we make the most impact in the people that we work with? You know, how can we make the most impact in with the people that read our books or hear our speeches or learn how to do, you know, because we basically, a lot of what we do is we just teach people how to do what we do, and that's
Yeah.
a huge part of our business. And I don't think there's ever been a point where I can't remember ever saying like, whoa, now we're so big, because I
Yeah,
don't
but
really feel like,
suddenly you were in Japan, you were in Australia, you were in Europe from your living room. That might have done something in your, I don't know, did it shift your identity? How did this influence your identity?
yeah, it I don't know if it did really. And I
No,
know maybe
that
for a
yeah,
normal person it would have, for normal people. But for us, it's just like, okay, how do we scale this? Just like right now. So we're a live event company, right? We do live events all over the world, like you said, Australia, Japan, all over the U.S., Canada, and you know, we're not doing live events right now, and we don't know when. We heard Australia's borders are closed until 2021. We had so many events
events in
planned.
Australia. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, we're just, you know, we're reconfiguring. We're just reconfiguring like what is going to work the best possible way. And then, you know, when we had 4 people in the and 4 people, 6 people, 8 people in the living room, we weren't thinking, oh, this is really small. We thought, okay, we're making an impact. And
Yeah.
I would literally, I had people come up to me on the street like I'd never seen. I remember this one woman came up to me and said, you know, my husband took your workshop 4 years ago. It changed his life completely. It changed our relationship. It changed everything. And I started crying.
Of
I
course.
started
I
crying
have
because that was,
goosebumps. Yeah.
it was just so fulfilling to hear something like that. And that was back when we had the little, you know, the 6, 7 people in the living room at the same time. And that's like, you know, this is awesome. This is what we're doing.
How did you get into this thing with online marketing? So you're building a business, and you are artists, and of course you are also an engineer. So that helps a lot with the business side and with the many parts, technology and so. Um, but how there were all these. It's a new world. with online marketing, with promotion. Marketing is being done in a different way. How did you learn? How did you implement? What was your strategy on this?
What we did is we learned from people that knew. We looked at who was doing it, um, and we looked at how they were doing it, and then we learned from them. We went to, and can you teach us this? We so back at that time when I said this, I got that call from the people that wanted me to do that big engineering project. We got a call from a friend of ours that said, oh, so and so is doing this workshop on the West Coast, and it's a business building workshop, and you have to take it. I've taken from them, and they're really good, yada yada. And we're like, we don't have the money. We'd love to. We just, to travel there. And they're like, no, 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 you don't understand. You'll make it all back. And it's like, no, we're not going to do it. Within 2 weeks, another person from a completely different part of the U.S. called and said the same thing about the same workshop, which we thought was funny. And we're like, yeah, no, we'd love to do it, but we don't know how. It's like, it's not possible. And then we talked. It's like, well, what if we decided we are going to do this? Which became, interestingly enough, a way of our thinking. Like, we don't think like, can we do something? We think this is what we're going to do. Let's find out how. So we started talking about this, and we went back to the first friend and said, you know what? Somebody else called us about the same workshop, and we'd love to do it. We were just short. He says, how short are you? I said, well, it was going to cost us, from what we had, $2,000. We could sell some of our stuff. We come up with $1,000. I said, but we're $1,000 short. So I just want to say it was a great idea. We're really with you on it. And he said, I'm going to give you the other $1,000, which we didn't expect. We went to the workshop, and it was phenomenal. And it helped us learn how to really get our business on track, online, offline, live events, everything. And we made all the money back, and including to pay that $1,000 back, which wasn't a loan, but we wanted to pay it back to our friend. And from then on, we've always gotten all the help we need.
Somehow things happen when you have the right attitude and the right heart and everything.
Exactly. Things happen. And that's how, and our mindset has been, again, we look at like, okay, I want this to happen. How am I going to make
I'm going to do it? Yeah. It's done. You have this is done. Let's see it how.
Exactly.
But it's your prayers, and it's your connection with life and meditation, and that somehow arranges life in you give a lot and then you receive a lot, because it's beautiful. It's been a pleasure to discuss again. I would love you if you want to come at some point again and to talk and teach others or inspire others how to deal with what's happening now, and you reconfigure your whole business and you transform your business, and doing in a different way. So to help people, also to inspire them, how do you take your business that is offline, lots of live events, and you move it online? And irrespective of your business, when life hits, how do you change your mindset, and how you change your system? How do you change your team? How do you change relationship with your audience? And how you upgrade it with this? Would you like to come at some point and share this?
Yeah, I'd love
in
to.
the future? Would be beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Absolutely.
Datta, thank you so much. I strongly encourage you, go to Amazon and get the different the book Different. You're not going to regret it. You might be pissed off on Datta because it will keep you at early hours of the day, because that's kind of book it is. You cannot put it down. And for those of you that still read books and want to be inspired, that's the one. Thanks a lot. Keep shining your light in speaking and writing. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And I have Rachel Jane in August. I'm looking forward to dive into feminine energy and all this, and hope to have you again and to talk more about this. Thank you so much. Everybody have a wonderful day. And thank you, Datta, again. I'm very
Thank
grateful
you,
you took
Catalina,
time.
and
Thanks a
thank
lot.
you everyone for tuning in.
Thanks. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.